Hello and welcome to another update video about Algorand, a chart that I find very interesting at the moment. We also had a little bit of a pump. In the last video, we talked about this descending wedge. So we had basically two descending wedges on the chart here. We had this one in white, which is very similar to what we did back in July before we started to move to new all-time highs. And yeah, we had this one, and then we had this smaller one in orange. Yeah, and this was an even clearer and even more condensed descending wedge, and we broke out of it. We already saw that potential breakout coming in the last video, and it really did happen. I think we already did break out in the last video, but I told you that as soon as we get above the 20-day moving average, you can expect a bit of a pump if we get above it. And we did get above it, and we saw that pump happen. So that is a good sign. That looks fairly impulsive, I must say. That reminds me of what happened last time here when we broke out of this descending trend line here. We broke out, we had a bit of a pump after we moved above that 20-day moving average, but then we came down once more and made a higher low. And that is then when we really started to go. I mean, Algorand is is a cryptocurrency that moved a little bit funny in the last few weeks and months anyway. So it did pump and then nothing happened. A little bit like Cardano, but maybe now is the time. I mean, I've been telling you that we are in the last meters of the correction. We also talked about that Algorand did fulfill the minimum requirements to complete the correction, yeah, at least in the current wave count that you see here. We had this ABC. So based on this ABC, it did complete the correction because you had a significant lower low than that wave E. Had we broken below this 67-68 cent level, yeah, because then we would have broken the previous lows. Had we done that, then it would have been much more likely to come into this yellow target area. But to be fair, it wasn't far away anyway. That target area started at 63 cents. So we did come very close to it anyway. And maybe we are still going to get into it. But to be honest, what is coming up here looks really, really impulsive now. And from my 4 buy orders that I did set for Algorand, 3 triggered. Personally, I'm extremely happy with that. With the lowest one triggered, I think around 70 cents. So very, very close to the low. And everybody who's been following me on Discord with my buy orders will probably be pleased now, because we bought the last buy order was triggered here pretty much really at the low and is now already around 18%, 16% in profit. So, but again, it's more of a long-term game, this one, isn't it? But then again, Algorand, if it moves fast. I mean, the last time when we really started to move from that low here in July, we made a new all-time high already early in September. So, and of course you don't want to buy up here, you want to buy early. And that's obviously, it's up to you when you buy. But so far what we can see is that the 78.6% Fibonacci level did hold, and that we broke out of this bullish pattern that we had on the chart, this descending wedge, and the move above the 20-day moving average indeed was the pump that we've been looking for. Now this now looks fairly bullish, I must say. We don't have significantly increased volume, and also in the bigger picture, this move up is nothing too crazy yet. So we've moved above the 20-day moving average. That is one thing. The next big area where we need to get above is that previous high. Yeah, we had a bit of a high here, 87 cents. That is the next one I'm looking for. That's what we need to get above, because this is, the first significant high. And if you make above, if we break above that, then we have another higher high. And we'll also, and that's what we need to do, we need to then make a higher low. So at the moment we're not doing that. There's also probably not a reason to FOMO in now. That's just my opinion, because typically if you have such a move up, you will always come down and have a first dip again before you then really start to go off. And that is what we did last time as well. You can see that here, after we really broke out here and we had a bit of a pump, we then came down once more. That is typically what you're doing, okay? So that's the next level here, the 87 cent level. And then I would say that next significant high here, which is around $1.05, okay? $1.06. That is very close to the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement at $1.04. So all of this here is pretty much then the next cluster of resistance, where I think if you really move above that, that can give it a big boost. So the last time that happened, and I remember that when we talked about it back then, because I did talk about Algorand also last year. And when we moved above that level, the 61.8% Fib level, that is obviously a very important one, then you had a significant boost. You obviously moved above it, you had already a bit of a spike, then came down, a bit of profit taking, but you found support here and you had a major boost. You can see that in this whole uptrend, the price actually found support at the 20-day moving average. So it is a very important step for the price to move above that 20-day moving average. Let's take a look at the EMA ribbon. So the price is currently moving through the EMA ribbon on the daily. So that is important. The last time before we moved to new all-time high, so that was again back in August here, or July. Again, when we had that first pump from the low, we did not break through it. We came down, and then when we came above the EMA ribbon and we retested it and had a long signal on the daily EMA ribbon, that is when the uptrend really started. So we haven't seen that yet. So that will be the next thing I'm looking for. Yeah, you need to move above the EMA ribbon, get a long signal on the EMA ribbon. That would be the next confirmation on the daily chart. How is the 8-hour looking? See, on the 8-hour, you're already moving above that EMA ribbon, and you're going to get a long signal very, very shortly because they're already crossing. So this will be a long signal on the EMA ribbon on the 8-hour. I'm sure on the 4-hour you'll already have it. Yeah, on the 4-hour we already had. And I showed you various times this indicator. It's a useful one. As always, don't just use one indicator. Yeah, just because this one shows a long signal doesn't mean go long. But it is one very useful indicator that can be used. So EMA ribbon from that point of view, it's looking good. How are the indicators looking here, especially on the daily? RSI, good sign above in the bullish range, starting to move up, positive momentum. MACD also, we had the, here again, MACD bullish crossover. I think we talked about it in the last video. That's looking good. And on the weekly chart, okay, the RSI, the MACD seems to be turning around down here. Still very early days, but what is very important is on the 4-day chart. I think you're going to get here that bullish crossover on the 4-day MACD, and that's a very important one as well. So as always, very, very close to the end of the correction, in my opinion. The last meters of the correction. Could we come down once more? Yes, surely. If we lose the 62-cent level, no, sorry, not the 62-cent level. If we lose here this 67, 68-cent level where we found a lot of support before in June, July and May 21, then I think we are going to see here at least the 62-cent all the way down to 38-cent level. So that is a bit of an unknown at the moment. Yeah, we are in a transition phase. Potentially we found the low already. And then people always ask, right, but you say primarily you still think Bitcoin is going to come down once more. Yes, I do. And I guess in that scenario, if Bitcoin does that first, and Bitcoin, it all depends how long Bitcoin will move sideways. I think if Bitcoin moves sideways for another month, then Algorand has a good chance to start to move higher already. If Bitcoin comes down now, I think Algorand will move into the yellow target area. If Bitcoin moves up first and then comes down, as my alternative scenario will say, then I'm sure Algorand could move significantly higher, and when Bitcoin then comes down, it could just make a higher low, whereas Bitcoin will probably make a lower low because Bitcoin still needs to finish off its correction. So that's where we are. You know, we don't really have a confirmed uptrend in the crypto market. It's very unusual that one crypto will decouple itself completely from Bitcoin, at least not yet. It's still a very young market. So at the moment, it is a bit of an unknown, but you can see various cryptos at the moment starting to pump, and there's always an opportunity to make money as well for everybody who's going to enter a short-term long trade, for example. Some people prefer to do that. Other people prefer to hold it for a longer period. Yeah, like I do. I'd rather take the larger swing trades. So personally, I already opened 3 long positions here with Algorand, and channel members know that. Yeah, I'm going to take then profits when we're moving closer to the all-time high, and then also price targets after the all-time high will be at least $4.07. That's the 1.618 extension, but I think it could also go all the way up to $6.52. That's my view on Algorand. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And as always, if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.